It's time for the podcast, which is all about the world of marketing on television through TV shopping networks and infomercials. Are we on the air? I'm your host, Sean Wilsey, and for over 29 years, I've hosted shows on cable shopping networks, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. And now I want to be your guide into this world, explaining how it works, why it works, what doesn't work, and introduce you to the people who are making it the success that it is today. Whereas most home shopping hosts will never make it to celebrity status, the people in infomercials are often recognized around the world. A good infomercial can fetch millions of dollars in sales after just one recording session for the host and for the product involved. To learn a lot more about infomercials, I'm very honored to have the star of two of the biggest grossing infomercials of all time, Steve Bryant. Steve, thank you for joining me. And that is correct, isn't it? Two of the biggest grossing of all time. Did I get the numbers right?
You sure did, Sean. Thank you for that. Figures lie and liars figure, but I have seen surveys that say the rotisserie infomercial is the most successful in history of all time. But I've also seen surveys that put it in the top five. Either way, I mean, it's massive. And you're right. I get recognized, especially when that thing was running heavily. I got recognized around the world. Yeah. And it was so funny because I have seen the foreign language dubs.
Oh, I never thought of that. They would have to dub that into other languages, of course.
I'm funny as hell in Japanese.
Oh, I hope that's on YouTube. I got to find that.
There's that. There's in German. I'm very, es freut mich sehr, Sie kennenzulernen, Herr Kopier. But it's like I'm real, but in Japanese, and I won't. I mean no disrespect, but it's like, the little high pitched squeaky voice.
Oh,
and Ron
word.
is the voice of authority, and it's fabulous.
Oh, I've got to find those. Because that's something I never even thought about when I was preparing this. Because I've been in England and I've seen infomercials there that are done pretty much. It's the same American running infomercial, but I never thought about that. You're going to France, you're going to Germany, because these things really are global. When you were on QVC, you were seen in the United States, period.
Right.
But a good infomercial is going to be distributed globally. And that's the power that these things have. The thing that always gets me, I would love to hear how set it and forget it translates into other languages, because you say that a million times in the rotisserie infomercial.
A million times, easily a million times. But, I'm very flattered on Twitter. There's so many online universes. It's hard. It's tough to keep up with them all. But I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on, at Facebook, it's real easy to find me. I think it's Steve Bryant on TV on Facebook. And at Twitter, I think it's Steve Bryant Radio. I don't know. I just wanted to be there. I thought I should be there.
You got to be. Yeah.
Well, on Twitter, a couple of the head honcho hosts on QVC Japan asked to be my friend, and they were so respectful, and they go, "We have such respect for you. You are so important to us." I think, holy crap. This is pretty cool. So I'm friends with them, and of course all their tweets are in Japanese.
I had no idea what the hell's going on, of course.
Well, luckily they translate it, but the Twitter translator isn't that good, so a lot of times the tweet will say, many times, here come the other man over there. It's just like, what?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
What does that mean? I have no idea. But they're charming. They were so charming. When I accepted their friendship on Twitter, you might have thought I said, "Oh, by the way, here's $1 million." They were so wonderful and so lovely. So anyway, so there was that. But yeah, the infomercials are pretty cool when they run, globally. And it's funny, for years, QVC used to do a lot with Oktoberfest in Germany.
Sure.
And I was in Germany one day, and I was writing my how effete does this sound? I was actually writing my second book. I'm writing my second book.
Okay.
Yeah. You're writing my second book, and I'm sitting in my hotel room in Germany, and I put the TV on for background noise, and here comes Hogan's Heroes. Now, now you would not think that, but Hogan's Heroes, here it is dubbed,
Yeah.
And Schultz, whoever dubbed Schultz is the same guy who dubbed me in Japan, because he's like, oh, real high squeaky. It's hysterical. And I found out later that Hogan's Heroes for years was one of the top 5 shows in Germany.
Oh my word.
What good sports they all are. What good sports. It was.
Isn't that hilarious?
It was like that time. It was like the time I was on QVC UK. I went over to train the hosts on QVC UK, and they did a 4th of July celebration, which I thought was it was a 4th of July. I thought that was kind of nice,
That's very nice.
They said, well, they had red, white, and blue banners. Of course, the host was a strict vegan, so we couldn't grill burgers.
No.
So we had these veggie things that just don't ask. They were anyway.
I wouldn't even.
I was charmed, but you know me, smart asses are us. So I was on the air with the host. She said, well, we so appreciate you coming over here and sharing your expertise. I said, look, in America, we appreciate the fact that a couple of 100 years ago, you guys dressed in those bright red uniforms and marched in those straight lines. I said, thank you for our independence.
Yeah, no kidding.
little trouble. Got in a little trouble for that. Anyway.
John Cleese dropped a great line on Letterman once. He was on shortly before the 4th of July. This was back when Letterman had his late night show. And Letterman said, hey, 4th of July is coming up. Do you celebrate that? And John Cleese says, no, but back home in England, we celebrate July 3rd. We call it Dependence Day. It's where we say, you Americans should really get out on your own and do your own thing and stop relying on us so much. It's a brilliant line on his part.
It is.
But before Steve and I get a million miles off topic again,
indeed,
we are here to talk about infomercials. And as Steve mentioned, he was involved heavily with QVC for 15 years and transitioned into infomercials. Do you remember your first infomercial?
Yes. The very first infomercial, hey, we're going to start big, was the rotisserie.
Are you serious? That was the first?
That was number 1.
Wow.
And it's so funny. Ron Popeil, and God rest his soul. I mean, what an incredible human being, and truly, what a wonderful human being. Tough as nails businessman. But we did 3 infomercials together. 2 were enormous successes. 1, well, you're going to miss every once in a while. But anyway,
that's true. Everybody.
But the first 2 certainly more than made up for any of that. We never had a signed contract. We had a handshake.
Wow.
And, you are compensated on an infomercial by units sold, et cetera, and you get paid quarterly. I had nothing on paper. And every quarter, these checks would arrive. It's like, whoa. Oh, cool, bless your heart. So especially the first few years of that rotisserie infomercial, and then the cutlery infomercial thereafter. But the first one was the rotisserie. And Ron, for all the infomercials we ever did together, we always did them the same way. He flew me out, and God bless him, he flew me out first class, put me up in the Beverly Hills Hotel.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Nice.
I know. I'm there. I wanted the Lucy and Desi room, but they didn't know what I was talking about. But anyway, put me up in the Beverly Hills Hotel. We would go to lunch at the Polo Club, where we would meet everybody. Everybody in the world knew Ron Popeil.
Yeah.
People would come like Warren Beatty. He knew Warren Beatty. Sure. We hung out with Warren Beatty and his kids one day. And he knew Paul Anka. And of course, I'm a huge Paul Anka fan. Yeah. Just genius, genius musician that he is. And I got to meet him, and people would stop by the table, and he would say, "Oh," and I'm thinking, he knows him. He knows him. So anyway, he would fly me out, and we would go into his kitchen in his home in Beverly Hills. Mm-hmm. And he had this giant kitchen. There's just mad, as you can imagine, massive kitchen. Sure. And right off the kitchen was a room that I always called his failure room. And I thought this was interesting. As he was developing the products, when one failed, he'd just put it in this room. And the room was like floor to ceiling with all these products that didn't meet his specifications. He said, "Nope, got to do it again. This isn't right. Next one. And he would have the failure room there as his inspiration to say, look, I can get this, but none of these were it. So we would go into the kitchen and we would cook and eat. Ron Popeil, I am sure, is part shrew. I think a shrew has to eat 10 times its body weight every day or it dies.
Right.
And Ron is as thin as a rail. Ron ate constantly, bless his heart. I look at a French fry, 4 pounds right there.
You and me both. I know. Yeah.
But we would cook, with the rotisserie. We would do chickens and beef and all these things, and and of course, none of the food went to waste.
Of course not. I'm sure.
I would waddle out of there, and he'd say, "Well, we're going to go to dinner." I said, "Oh, I don't think I could do it." And he said, "Oh no, we're going to Spago." So he got surprised. He knew Wolfgang Puck, and Wolfgang Puck took me into his wine cellar at Spago.
Oh my God! Oh wow!
This is in the 90s, and I'm like,
wow.
I'm not a connoisseur, but I love wine, and I read a lot about it. And I know a little bit about it. And he said, Wolfgang said, "Would you like to hold $100,000 bottle of wine?" And I went, and I held 100. He said, "It's probably vinegar by now, but he said if you go to sell it, it'd be at least $100,000." Holy shit!
Oh,
holy poop!
Word.
Yeah. It was pretty. So he knew him, and we ate at Spago. We had all these restaurants, but every day he would have me picked up at the hotel, and I did like this. He had a pretty big mansion, like big.
Yeah.
He had his wife Robin and his 2 daughters were there with him. In the mansion, and he had a really nice staff of servants who he treated like gold. I will say that. I mean, they were not, hey, it was like they were like family. It was pretty cool to be there. So he picked me up in the morning, and we'd go in. He'd have coffee ready, and we'd drink coffee, and we'd make maybe breakfast items or whatever, and then we'd transition to lunch, and we'd do this for several days. We just cook and cook and cook. I was so sick of cooking. But
I can imagine.
But it always reminded me of the basketball coach at UCLA for many decades, John Wooden. When John Wooden would get these young players from high school that were graduating from high school, but UCLA, they got the cream of the crop. And these young men would come in that could throw a basketball with one hand down the whole court and drop it, in the basket without even looking. Drop it in the net, no problem. So, but he made those young men do pattern drills for 6 to 8 weeks, nothing every day, but pattern drills. And he said, once they have the fundamentals ingrained in them and they're automatic, then they can play basketball. And that's what Popeil was doing. He was ingraining set it and forget it in my mind. So when I got out there, it'd be zip, 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 we're done.
Yeah.
And so we would do that for, like I said, for several days. And I would fly back, 20 pounds heavier.
Yeah, sure.
And, he would have the date set for the infomercial. And we would show up. The infomercials, most infomercials are filmed, actually, most video productions from the West Coast are filmed in Burbank. Burbank has just dozens and dozens and dozens of video studios all over the place.
Interesting.
And it's like they're in corporate parks.
Right.
It's like the recording studios in Nashville. The recording studios in Nashville, there'll be one giant warehouse building, and that'll be divided into maybe 5 or 6 recording studios. This is how the video studios were in Burbank. We go to Burbank, do that, and we'd show up. There'd be, I think, 250 people in the audience, and we'd do all the warm-up first, and then we'd do all the recordings and all the testimonials first. We wouldn't make them sit there all day. And they were paid. They were paid, I think, a couple $100. Plus they had been given a rotisserie to use it, to see what they thought of it.
Smart. Sure.
Yep. And most of them were aspiring actors and actresses. who wanted the
Makes sense.
FaceTime.
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah, it was genius. It was just genius. I mean,
I wonder if they got a SAG card for doing that.
Possibly.
No,
They
it
might
just
have.
dawned on me. I mean, that might have been one of
If
their
they got
reasons for doing it.
if they got enough lines,
Yeah.
because I would go through and basically of the 250 people, I would say well over 100 wanted to give a testimonial.
I'm sure they
sometimes
did.
I said, well, so what are your feelings on rotisserie? I said, well, I do this and I do my family, and they're all great. Just everyone is like better than the next one, better than the next one. So we do all that. Then we do the recordings where you go, okay, I'll go 1, 2, 3, and you'll go, set it and forget it. 1, 2, 3, set it and forget it. Good. Now give me some real, and so we got all these different set it and forget it takes. So when Ron turns to the audience, they don't have to do anything. We got it on tape.
Brilliant. That's
got
good
it
editing.
on video. So it's all the pre-production is done. Everything is done. Everything is ready. Everything is just ready to roll. And we go through, then we do, and it's a long day. Right. And these people, they don't get paid unless, and also they're told, look, if you don't stick around for the whole day, and they said, look, this could be 12, 14 hours, you can get bathroom breaks and all that stuff. And we fed them. They had craft services there. Give them a real, and I had lunch with them. It was a great lunch. But they would do, they would do their thing and just be there for we'd start with the testimonials usually about 8 a.m. And we get through with them and the set it and forget it's usually by maybe 10:30. Take a little break, little snack, coffee, the whole thing. Everybody's back in. Then from like 11 to 1 to 2, somewhere around there, we'd be doing the infomercial. He'd say, "Hey, Steve, look at this. I can put a full bison in this. Look at this, Steve. I'm doing a moose. Hey, it was just great. I mean, he had everything from leg of lamb to giant roasts to giant chickens, turkeys, the whole thing. And what people don't realize is Ron and I were working in front of a blast furnace because there were 20, count them, 20 rotisseries cranking behind us.
That's right.
They were actually cranking.
That's right.
Oh my God. It was, one thing Ron said before I came, he said, make sure you bring several matching shirts. Oh yeah. We were grungy. In fact, obsessive compulsive that I am, I showered at lunchtime because I was sloshing at that point. And so we would go through, get the infomercial, go through, do the whole thing and everything. And usually, the day would start, we would get there about 7, to do the setup and everything. And then it would start doing the testimonials about 8. We'd usually be done by about 8 or 9 o'clock that night.
Wow.
Exhausted, exhausted. And of course, Ron, has to eat.
Oh, come on.
Oh no, I didn't want him to die. So we go eat. Oh God. So he was great. I mean, he was at this point in time, he was in his later 70s, and he's going like a dynamo. Just go, get it done, do it right, get everything everything had to be perfect and what have you. And every once in a while during the infomercial, they'd have to stop because since one of the ones behind us that was rotating with real food would burst into flame because it had been on the rotisserie too long. And nobody panicked. They told us this might happen. And they said, hold on, the control room, the guy hit the squawk box and say, Ron, hold it. The rotisserie on the left there, far left is on fire. We got it. No problem. Boom, boom. Swap it out. Get the next one. Boom, go. So yeah, we do that. And then Ron is the master of editing.
Yeah.
Because an infomercial has to be 28:30
right
on the mark.
Yep.
Can't be any more, can't be 1 centilla less than 28:30. So So he will edit it. And now I always used to kid him and say, you edit with a chainsaw, but you can't argue with the kind of success his infomercials have.
No, you can't.
So chainsaw away, Ron. Everybody in the world wished they had you editing their infomercial. There wasn't one wasted second. Every second was in some way selling that product.
Yeah.
And the only time we ever disagreed on anything and we didn't have words, but I just said, I said, you're wrong. We had a guy with the cutlery set.
Yes.
He had the five-star cutlery. That was the second infomercial we did. 5-star cutlery set, same deal, testimonials. What was I forget what the tagline was. I don't know if there's a tagline for the cutlery or not. Slice it and dice it. No, that was but I can't remember what it was. But we did all the testimony, and I guess we did audience reactions, like, whoa, hey, and I'm a pretty good cutlery demonstrator. And in the beginning of that infomercial, you see the knife that goes through the pineapple, and the pineapple, it just goes through perfectly, and the pineapple doesn't fall over. That was me. I'm the pineapple cutting champion of the world, I think. On QVC, I used to take to show the cutlery we were selling. I would take a pineapple, throw it in the air, and cut it in half in midair.
Jeez.
And immediately warn the audience, please don't do this at home.
That, of course.
Please don't do that. And when I would do it, I would joke that I would say, the yellow is the pineapple, the pink is my left hand. The yellow is the pineapple, the pink is my left hand. My mantra before I did it. So we had the cutlery, and we had a guy show up who was it was a Japanese American, and the reason I say that is that he was like a 7th degree black belt, in karate, and his weapon was the sword, and he brought his samurai sword with him. And these things are deadly serious, because it's like dozens and dozens of layers of metal that's all been hammered together by hand and everything. I mean, quite a tradition to it. So he brought that, and he had the samurai sword in one hand and the big chef's knife from the Popeil cutlery set in the other hand. And I was throwing fruits and vegetables at him, and he was cutting one. He'd cut one with the samurai, cut one with the knife, one with this. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was just dynamite. You could see how razor sharp these knives were and everything. And Ron cut it out. Okay, really? Hey, it's his football. Yeah, okay, exactly. That's one disagreement in all those years. I think is not too bad. Yeah. Not too bad. In fact, Ron and I, of course, met on QVC, and we met when he was demonstrating the food dehydrator.
Yes, I remember it well. Yep.
And it had done excellently an infomercial, but it wasn't doing well on QVC because he only had 12 minutes to sell it, and he had like 20 freaking food dehydrators set up, and he couldn't get to everything in 12 minutes, and it looked incomplete, and he was hurried and everything. So I had never met him before, and I said, Ron, I'm working with you this afternoon. And he said, I don't know, it's not doing well. I said, we have to use fewer dehydrators. You might have thought I said something about his parents and his kids at the same time. He tore me a new one. Said, don't you tell me. Okay. I said, Ron. And so he leaves. I go to the set and I remove all but 3 dehydrators. The jerky, the fruit roll-ups, and herbs, which are the 3 main uses of dehydrators.
Right.
So I said, well, we can talk about all the, make your own clay ornaments and all this nonsense. I said, if you have 28 minutes and 30 seconds, you can do that. You can't do it in 12 minutes.
No, of course.
So he came out on the set. This is the first time I ever worked with him. He sees that, there's only 3 dehydrators there. And boom, I go, and we're live with America's inventor, Ron Popeil. And if looks could have killed, I would have vanished right there.
I pay to see. I can just picture the big smile on your face. You're just so happy.
I know.
Here you are. He had to just be fuming inside.
Oh, he wanted me dead. And
Oh.
so, but it sold out.
See?
It sold out because we focused on the 3 primary uses, and we talked about the other stuff. But I said, think of the things you could do. Ron, what else could you do? You know what? I mean, he's like, no, you sort of, you know. And so it sold out. And we get off the air, and he goes, how no? And I went right to Brer Rabbit, the tales I used to child, and I said, Ron, I was born in this briar patch. I said, you know, this is my house.
Yeah.
I said, you didn't have 28 minutes and 30 seconds. You had 12 minutes. We did it. We sold it out. I said, that's how the medium works. And he went, oh. From then on, he knew exactly how that medium worked. And we went on to, you know, his pasta machine was the first product of QVC. It's very successful at Infomercial. First product to do $1 million in 12 minutes. Wow. Yeah, because he got it. He said he was like a sponge. He was mad, but he knew how to do it. But it was quite something. I mean, because of my reputation from QVC, I was offered so many infomercials, and many of them I turned down because many of them were for ingestibles.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. That was my next question, actually, is you have to have turned down a bunch of infomercial offers after being so successful. So tell me about some.
Well, my favorite turn down was the guy who called me, very famous, no names, very famous producer. He could probably still sue me for that. Very famous producer.
Yeah.
And he said, I just bought a new studio and I want to bring you in and show it to you. And I said, well, let me hazard a guess here. I'll bet you've got lights and cameras and video switchers and all that. And he said, oh yeah. I said, well, I worked in a studio for 15 years. I said, I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I said, I'm glad you have a new studio. Yay. He said, well, I'd like you to host an infomercial. It's a line of vitamins. And I said, whoa, stop. Done. I said, I can save you the trouble. I don't do anything you put in your body because I don't care what sort of release you sign. You're still in the liability chain.
Yep.
You know, somebody takes that pill and grows a third arm, you know, and they don't want a third arm. Yeah, absolutely. You're in the line of fire. Yeah. I said, nothing ingestible. And he said, well, I guess they're ingestible. I said, of course they're ingestible. You put them in your mouth and you swallow them. He said, you sure? I said, I have no interest. I said, thank you. I said, thank you so much for thinking of me, but you know, it's fine. And I said, good luck with the new studio. I said, I'm really glad for you. So a couple of days later, the phone rings and it's this guy. And he says, Steve, I have the president of the vitamin company on the line with us here. And he said, hi, Steve. I'm sorry. I said, oh, hi. So it's like a conference call ambush. And I said, oh, hi. And he said, I want to talk to you, Steve. I said, okay. He said, let me tell you about the vitamin. Now, I colloquially call these vitamins pea in the cup vitamins. Here's how it worked. He said, let me tell you what it is, Steve. We don't send you the vitamins. When you make the purchase, we do not send you the vitamins. And I said, well, your profit margin must be enormous.
Yeah, good point.
Good Lord. Send me the money. I don't send you nothing. Hey, have a good life. So he said, no, Steve, don't. He said, they told me you were a smart ass. You know, I said, okay, well, what's the deal? He said, all right, you don't take the vitamins. I send you a specimen cup and a hazmat envelope that you urinate into the cup. Oh, no. You seal it and you put it in the hazmat envelope and you return it to us. We analyze the urine and then we provide the vitamins that have the things that you're missing. Oh, now, Sean, you and I both know there are probably 4 basic formulas. I can't see them formulating a special vitamin for every person that says, oh my gosh, he's missing manganese. Oh, let's add extra manganese to the. I don't think you could ingest manganese. I think it would kill you. But anyway, so anyway, whatever it is, I said, honestly, but it's still eventually they wind up with a pill.
Yeah.
I said, am I not right? I said, yeah, so I can't, I won't do it. I won't be part of that liability chain. Well, we have a release. And I said, and your attorney will tell you that release is not worth the paper it's printed on.
Yeah.
I said, when it comes down to it, I'm in the line of fire. No, thank you. I said, thank you so much. I appreciate this. He said, but Steve, let me tell you, I'm not about making people healthy. And I thought, okay. Okay. And I'm thinking, first of all, I always, when something like that happens, I check my pulse because I always figure I've died and I've gone to hell.
Amen.
This is going to be hell for me. Nothing makes sense. And that'll be the rest of my eternity is, saying the things that are just total non sequiturs. I said, you're not about me. He said, no, I'm about making people wealthy.
Oh,
Bing, little bell goes off in my head.
Yeah.
MLM, multi-level marketing. He said,
totally.
He said, here's how it works. You take the vitamins. And when you start to feel so great because they're providing you with the things you were missing, you take those vitamins. You're so happy. You want your friends to take them.
Oh,
so you invite your friends over and you have a whole bunch of hazmat envelopes and cups, and you have them, urinate in the cups. Yeah. Put them in. I said, so wait a minute. I'm going to have a pee in the cup party.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
I said, I hate it when somebody comes to my house and uses the bathroom.
Yes.
I'm going to have people peeing in cups in my living room.
One after another. Yep.
Over the buffet table.
Oh,
no.
Lord.
I said, no. I said, I tried to keep my cool. I hate to make enemies. I don't want to make an enemy, but I said, I can't do that. I can't. No. But thank you. Thank you for thinking of me and have a wonderful life. And of course, I never heard from producer again.
No, of course. And Steve, we're going to continue this in 1 week's time. So for anyone who's listening to these shows as they come out, and thank you to all of you who have subscribed, and so you're getting the shows as they come out. The next show that goes up will be Christmas Day, and that's going to be my first annual Christmas special. I think we're going to have some fun on this one. And then we'll get Steve back after the Christmas holiday, so that would be the show that will go up on the 29th of December. So Steve will be our last guest for 2021. Some big things coming in 2022 for sure. Now, I hope that you'll check me out on Twitter and Facebook. Oh, and YouTube as well. Just Sean Wilsey, my full name. The way to find me on all of those. Instagram, I am SWilsey. The infomercials that Steve and I are discussing will be posted to my YouTube channel. So again, youtube.com/Sean Wilsey, SHAWNWILSIE, so you can see and get a reference point to what Steve and I are talking about. Have a Merry Christmas, and we will continue this conversation with Steve Bryant in a week.
Yes, I know, Travis. That's why we give such bargains.